Welcome to Doc Talk with your host, Brent Lovett. And Doc Talk with Brent is sponsored by Battleborn Financial.
Hi, welcome back to Doc Talk with Brent. I'm just a reminder, I'm here with Dr. Marianne Hazlett. My name is Brent Levitt. I'm the owner of Battleborn Financial, health insurance brokerage and financial advisor. And Dr. Hazlett is one of our primary care doctors here in town that we're talking to today. Before we left for break, we were starting to talk a little bit about heart health and how she helps people with, feeling chest pain, things like that. We're going to talk a little about diabetes, I think, a little bit too as well. But I want to talk about heart health a little bit more again. We have a really great specialist here that's part of the Humana Network too, Dr. Tally Eric, who she does a lot of work with here that helps a lot. So Dr. Hazlett, let's talk more about what we were discussing before we went to break.
Sure, absolutely. So I think one of the main things is having a cardiologist here in town is great because we don't have too many specialists, and he has top of the line imaging capability here at the Healthcare Partners building. And the cardiac PET test, once again, is something that I would recommend for anyone, especially if you're having chest pain, if you have any kind of diabetes, anything that has to do with vascular-wise, you've had strokes, you have high blood pressure, just knowing your baseline is really important, because if you know there's no blockages, then you can go to bed at night and be like, okay, my heart's good. I don't have to worry about that little bit of chest pain when I lift something. But at the same time, just having that peace of mind is just really important. Yeah. And if insurance covers it, then I think it's really important to get that done.
How am I going to know really if I have some heart problems? Because I know I don't know much about my father's side of my bloodline or anything like that, but I know that some of my half siblings stuff, they have a lot of some around high blood pressure problems and things like that. But when I'm younger, my blood pressure's pretty good, but how do I know really to be concerned about it? What's some signs I need to look for besides just a chest pain or something like that?
Besides chest pain, being short of breath when you're doing things. If you're short of breath when you're sitting, that could be anything. But at the same time, if you notice every time I get up, I walk, if I have to go up a flight of stairs, I'm really kind of winded and it gets worse over time, it's something you should have looked at, because it can of course be your lungs, but it could be your heart. Also, pain in the upper stomach, which a lot of people say, oh, that's just my acid reflux or that's my GERD. That can also be signs of heart issues. So there's a few things that you need to look at.
It's not just me being out of shape or too fat because of this COVID diet I've been on,
The COVID diet is awesome. Staying home, actually, we should be very healthy because we're all cooking at home, hopefully, and we're eating healthy, right? But it is important. So shortness of breath is another thing that can be your heart. The epigastric pain or the upper abdomen, that's very important as well. And for women, they often get different types of symptoms. It could be the right side of the chest. It can just have just a funny feeling, something that just is off and it's not getting better. And under stress or those types, you just really don't feel right. And you start sweating. Sweating's a big one. So if you're having chest pain or any kind of symptom and you start sweating profusely, it could be your gallbladder, but that can be your heart. And that's one of the main things at medical school. I remember a heart doctor was teaching us, and he said they could tell me all these symptoms, but as soon as they tell me that they started to sweat, that's when he got nervous. So that's a big one to consider.
It's pretty amazing to think about. I know it's I never thought about much my heart stuff until my father just recently just started having some major heart stuff here, and it's well, what do we do, and how do you take care of it? And things I didn't even think about heart stuff, even fluid in your lungs are harder to breathe. Just you don't realize that having heart failure actually causes fluid in the lungs. It's
Absolutely.
What does that happen in there?
Absolutely.
And a lot of people don't realize that medication-wise, and they're concerned about the cost of that medication. But surprisingly enough, if you're on Medicare and you have let's say Medicare Part A and B, and you do a Humana plan, a lot of those prescriptions, surprisingly enough, can be zero cost. So a lot of people, they don't realize that.
Right.
They want you to be taking care of yourself. Insurance isn't there to be a hindrance to try to charge you a boatload of money. And Dr. Hazlett's office and all them, they're there to deal with, work with you and get you in on time if you're having this kind of symptoms. And just be like, hey, let's talk to you and get to know you, and there's no penalty for seeing the doctor.
Oh, no.
I know for me, it's I've always felt in the past, it's oh, I got to pay money to my doctor. I don't want to see them, It's nice to be able to, I'd rather just, I'll just die or deal with it, later on. But there's a lot of barriers out of there. Right? How do you get away from that barrier? That's the hardest thing.
Hopefully your copay is so low that you don't have that barrier, that you don't have to worry about it. I see very few insurances that are really high. There are some plans that only have deductibles, which is really hard, and we try to work with patients. And patients that don't have insurance, of course, we take them at a very low cost as well, because we want everyone to get, the best care possible.
So even cash pay people, that's pretty amazing. A lot of people are just I would imagine somebody that comes here into town, I get some people in the interim while they're waiting for new stuff to start. They're maybe come from another plan, they're still in their old plan, and they're like, hey, I just need to establish care with a doctor, but you don't take that insurance. They can still pay cash to see you, at least get covered, care started and stuff like that.
Absolutely, if they needed to, absolutely.
It's always a big deal. You wanted to talk a little bit about diabetes too. I know it's difficult right now for a lot of people, especially to get their insulins.
Right.
I mean, thinking about the fact that, hey, you got to take care of your body. You're cooking home, probably baking bread, because everyone wants to bake bread right now. That's probably going to make you have to insulin spike like crazy. I mean, what do you want to talk about with diabetes? How can they help manage that?
Well, we also do a lot of weight loss in our clinic. We recommend the keto diet, which is lower carb, getting rid of bread, pasta, rice, sugars. That's the number one thing. I mean, the trick to diabetes, a lot of people come in, they find out they're diabetic for the first time, and most doctors are like, okay, you need to take all this medication and get your diabetes under control. Well, if they only lost 10% of their body weight, say they're 200 pounds, they lose 20 pounds, they may be able to cure their diabetes without taking any medication. So the first step is really to be very serious, work on the diet and see if you can make that change. And if you're willing to make that change, you don't need to take medicine, because initially you take oral medication, which is okay. It can even be weight friendly. But when you get into insulin, the problem with insulin is all it does is take sugar out of your bloodstream and turn it into fat. Now you're gaining weight. The more insulin you take, the heavier you get, the more insulin you need, and your diabetes just continues to get out of control. And even you're taking very large amounts of insulin now to control this, because now you have gained so much weight because of insulin. I've seen people that start on insulin at 150 pounds. Within 3 years, they're 180 pounds, and they haven't really changed their diet. But now everything they eat, all that sugar that's in their bloodstream, is now just being turned into fat. So,
and from a financial standpoint, that just gets so expensive. I mean, just imagine like
insulin is very expensive. I know my mother's diabetic, and she's on insulin, which she doesn't like the keto diet. Sorry, Mom.
HIPAA compliant. We don't even talk about that.
but the thing is, before she got on Humana Gold, she was spending $600 a month for insulin, and people look at her and say, that's crazy, you could never be paying that. Insulin is expensive, and if you take a lot of it, it's very price prohibitive for a lot of people, and a lot of people just don't take it, and their diabetes is completely out of control.
Yeah. And there's some other things we can do, especially type 2 diabetics, just, like you said, going on diets and stuff like that. And one of the things I think a lot of people don't realize is dieting is so difficult to do. It's like, I don't want to do it. But the cool thing is your office does the weight loss stuff too, which is
right.
You help people in a controlled environment be able to control their weight and say, you know what, I can control this, not just, it's not just about, hey, I need to just change, I need to pull out the carbs and stuff like that, or I need to start exercising more. There's other things you can do to try to make it so you're successful.
Well, there's supplements that kind of help your appetite. There's injections of B12 for energy. There's something called MIC, which is all amino acids that help with metabolism. It curbs appetite as well. But even the keto diet, once you start cutting out carbs, you do lose your appetite. So you are able to stick to the diet plan a lot easier. And men, they do so well. They lose weight so quickly on the keto diet. So they come in and they are just fantastic. But I've had so many patients come in completely uncontrolled diabetes, taking no medication. They go on a diet, they lose 30 pounds, their diabetes is gone. So as long as they maintain that, then they don't have any of those risk factors of going blind or amputations, or there's so many problems with diabetes, and heart disease, of course, is a huge one because it bothers your vessels, and you're more prone to have plaque break off and have heart attacks and strokes.
I hear like people say, well, healthcare and blah, 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 whatever it is. But I mean, we have a doctor here that can help us. We have physicians. We have, some of the greatest primary care. I want to do this show to show people we have some great resources here in this town. You don't have to drive a billion places away. Dr. Hazlett's office, this is their number, the 771-7570. You can call their office, make an appointment to see her. They're here and they're local. She's trying to grow the practice. She's not just trying to shrink things. She just hired on a new nurse practitioner even. We talked about earlier, her name is Paula, and she's phenomenal. She's been in the community for quite a while.
Yes.
And a lot of people know who she is and have already maybe established care, didn't know where she went. She's over here at Dr. Hazlett's office, FYI, and get to know them. And I mentioned Humana a lot in this because they're a big supporter of this program and her. But Dr. Hazlett does take other insurances. If you're under 65, you can work with our office. She works with all the plans through the Nevada Health Link on the exchange. And my office, Battleborn Financial, we can help people as well enroll in those plans. And she actually is one of the only doctors here in town that takes pretty much every plan through Nevada Health Link, and helping people, navigate those services. And the copays on all those plans are relatively affordable. There's plans that have copays as little as zero copays for doctors, even under 65 if you're not even on Medicare. I'm going to also notice as well, through the end of May, whenever this airs, we're going to be able to, there's a special COVID-19 special enrollment period for those on Medicare. They're allowed to make plan changes if they have not made a previous plan change. So there's an opportunity right there for anybody that's concerned about, I'm maybe in the wrong plan, I've been having too many copays, things are tough right now. They can make some changes right now. And even outside of this time frame in June, July, August, as you keep going on, you're like, hey, I rewatched this program and really love Dr. Hazlett, I want to see her. There are special circumstances. Maybe you're suffering from diabetes, and you're like, man, these insulin prices are killing me. Or maybe I have heart conditions that are just really frustrating you. Even lung conditions like COPD and stuff like that. There's ways to get you enrolled on some of these plans to see Dr. Hazlett and get a zero copay. Maybe you already have Humana and you're like, man, I really want to see Dr. Hazlett. She's just phenomenal. I see this great, wonderful person, this doctor, I want to see her. You can change to her anytime and make her your primary care and get to see her. That's the wonderful thing about we have resources here. Are there any things that maybe I missed about healthcare and your practice that you want to discuss?
I will talk a little bit about skincare just because I do love that. I did a lot of extra training in this. We do biopsies for skin cancer. We send that in. We do skin checks in general. But I am very conservative because I know a lot of people will come to me and they say, well, I went and I had a few lesions and they ended up cutting off 6 or 7 things. And I'm very conservative. If I know it's benign, I'm not going to scar you up unless you say, I hate this and I want this off. And, of course, we'll take it off for you. But I'm very conservative. It's very obvious what is a skin cancer, what isn't. There's benign lesions and they have certain characteristics. So I'm very conservative. I won't scar you up like I've seen. I've seen people come in with giant scars. I'm like, what did you have? And they said, oh no, it was nothing. It was benign. But we're very conservative. So.
And you understand what it is.
And we can look at it and tell you what it is.
And a lot of people are worried about. I know we always should talk about, but cost and stuff in those procedures. I know a lot of that's not usually covered in your traditional office copay a lot of times. But you might find that maybe under deductible stuff like that. Is that the case with you, or how does that work with it?
Well, under Humana Gold, I'm a provider that can do the skin procedure, so there's zero copays, there's no cost at all. It's just a regular office visit with me, so that's very good. But there's no additional charge usually for most insurances. Sometimes it hits deductibles, but we try to adjust and work with patients the best we can when it comes to those types of prices if there's an issue like that.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. I mean, just to be able to know that, hey, you can get something, especially skincare lines of. I know, like
Medicaid covers everything, so that's not a problem either.
Yeah,
so that's great here
yeah,
in this county.
Yeah, we got a lot of people. We have a lot of people that are on Medicaid, and I'm not to be like ashamed about that. I mean, sorry, we got to keep going. Okay, the Medicaid stuff like that is the fact that she does take it. She's a provider for it, and you have choices of physicians, and Dr. Hazlett's office is available to us. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody, to Doc Talk with Brent. Hopefully join us next week at the same time, same place. We'll post on Facebook as well, and look for us, Battleborn Financial and Dr. Mary Ann Hazlett. Thank you.